Welcome back to the channel. Hope you all are having a great day. So today we want to talk about Hedron. Hedron, and we want to take a look at some of the similarities of Hedron to the BBD coin, look at some of the success of Hedron, and kind of paint a picture of what we think the future is going to look like for projects like this. I think as the post chain will begin to expand its ecosystem, and we'll begin to get a much broader chain of projects and development. That there are going to be some projects that arise to the top, right? There are going to be projects that have initial great starts and poor finishes, and there are going to be projects that maybe do good from the beginning and continue on. Obviously, when we look at something like Hex, uh, Hex has performed very, very well, right? But much like Bitcoin, is there going to be a ceiling on the success of these type projects once they hit a certain threshold, right? Is the excitement to become multimillionaires off these projects and for these prices to moon? Are they going to simmer down? And of course, if we look at something like Bitcoin, right, that was moonlights in the $30,000 range and so on. Um, what happens when you get into Bitcoin at $30,000 is for you to double your investment with Bitcoin. Bitcoin has to go to like $70,000, right? And when you started to think of terms and scale of the amount of mass and the inability to do that, or it becomes a lot harder to do that, then it would seem that um, the probability for that to happen decreases, right? So, similar, I think what we're looking at Hex right now, if you get into Hex at, if it's at 14 cents or 15 cents, whatever is at right now, it becomes a lot harder for Hex to go to 30 cents and a lot harder for Hex to go to 60 cents and $2 and whatever, right? Because the reality of the situation is the more liquidity goes into Hex, the more people know about Hex, the more people pour money into Hex, the more stable the prices become, right? And so the good thing about Hex, in a sense, is as long as there's increased liquidity and you're getting yield off of Hex, and this is competitive yield, right? Is it competitive yield? I mean, 38, percent a year, is pretty darn good, right? But it's gonna pale in comparison to 600% returns, 700% returns, and fledgling projects that can do million% returns, like Hex in its early days, right? So I think you all kind of understand where I'm coming from, what I'm saying. So when you take something like Hedron, right? Hedron, that's already went up, did something like a 15x. It's down, it's fallen down a bit today, but what's happening with Hedron is it seems to be capturing some of the early successes of like Hex did, right? Because it doesn't have the scale that Hex does. And when it gets to the point it does have the scale that Hex does, hopefully a lot of people in Hedron have become multimillionaires, but then it will probably follow a similar path of Hex. And that's kind of just an evolution of how many of these cryptocurrencies work, right? So, is there anything that, you know, um, would have projects like Hedron be on a continued success curve and so on, right? And there's no easy answer to that, but I think a more valid question would be how long will the success of Hedron last, right? Well, the thing is, I do think there is a way out of this, and I think the way is kind of based on the model that Bitcoin was, and that is Bitcoin only had 21 million coins, right? So that is the maximum amount of coins Bitcoin has. because Bitcoin only has 21 million coins, it's managed to hit values like $70,000. So people are making an excessive amount of money. If they got in and Bitcoin at 1 cent, it did have the ability to go to $70,000. Will Hex or Hedron and projects like that have the ability to do that? If we look at the token supply of Hedron, um, it's like 30 trillion tokens that have been printed so far, right? That number can probably get up to hundreds of trillions of tokens or something, right? If I'm not mistaken. And to me, that's a little bit of a problem. Obviously, I'm not a fan of things that can inflate to a rate like that. Um, but I think Hedron does serve its purpose, right? But let's look at some of the similarities in BBD coin to kind of get a picture of some of the differences uh, with BBD coin versus Hedron. All right, taking a look at BBD coin and some of the differences, right? So BBD coin is going to have a total of 5 million tokens, right? That's going to be the ending supply. It's about 4 times more deflationary than Bitcoin, right? Now, it also has uh, intrinsic value in its attention value, as to say, there are going to be certain promotional abilities used on the BBD coin platform for people who hold the cryptocurrency, right? So they're going to be able to do things that many other cryptocurrencies can't do, right? Um, on the platform, promotional things, right? And somewhere within that ability is a usefulness and value. And I think that's something outside of when we start talking, think of terms of intrinsic value. I think that's something outside of what you can get. I think BBD coin then feels more like gold or something, right? Like how you can take gold and you can go and you can basically use it in semiconductors, computers, car engines, jewelry, and what have you, religious ceremonies, right? There is a value that remains within gold no matter what the markets do, right? BBD coin will be dropped to POSEX sacrificers, and hex stakers. And of course, there is a practical reason for that. POSEX was the biggest participatory arrangement in these sacrifices, right? Amassing over 1 billion sacrifice cryptocurrency, and hex stakers has always been the backbone of the post ecosystem, right? That's the most participants, over 80,000 stakers, and so on. I think what else separates BBD coin is it's onboarded through social media, right? So what I'm seeing with the post ecosystem is, although there is a vast amount of opportunity and it is growing, it is something hindering the post ecosystem. I don't know if it's marketing, or I don't know if it's lack of marketing, right? Um, I don't know if it's gatekeepers. I'm not sure what it is, right? But there's the tremendous amount of opportunity that the post ecosystem is offering. This is something that should be screamed from the mountaintops, and the post ecosystem should be very competitive numbers wise. I think, like your Bitcoins and your Ethereums, right? And so I'm not sure what's hindering that with only 80,000 hex stakers, but whatever it is something that through the applications and the means to attract people to the post ecosystem, there's something that it doesn't have yet. And I think an integrated social media platform like what BBD Coin has, I think it's just going to be a lot easier to get people involved. BBD Coin already has about 18,000 registered accounts. So I can see the BBD Coin on route to millions, if not billions, of users for many other reasons we'll get into later on. Um, the last part is BBD coin is the idea social token. So for those of us who don't know in the cryptocurrency space, the social token is set to be the next evolution of the next big thing, right? So we've had our DeFi's, we've had our NFT runs, but the social token is set to be bigger than them all, right? One great example, there are actually two examples that express the um, the level that the social token can go to. And these two entities are something like Facebook and Disney. Now, why Facebook and Disney? Both Facebook and Disney has a total of about 2 to 3 billion participants in their ecosystems, right? Facebook was something like 2.8 billion, Disney was about 3 billion, right? This amasses everything from their streaming services to their amusement parks, theme parks, everything from Facebook Meta to Instagram and all these collection of things where there is a social platform and thus this type of social currency, although not tokenized, it exists in the idea of social capital. Now, obviously, at some point, uh, both Disney and Facebook Meta are going to create some type of reward-based token. And this is kind of in the idea of the BBD coin. And these are just things far beyond what Hex and Hedron is going to have, right? Um, but something like BBD coin, which is going to trade on the Post chain, is going to be very helpful to the Post chain, I think, in helping to bring in a lot of more participants to reach levels like that. And I don't think it's a question of if it will happen, but more so a question of when, right? And that's just based on certain research and dynamics that seem undeniable, what we've come up with, right? So all very interesting. But now you have an understanding of, so what makes the BBD coin and Hedron so similar? I would say, besides all of these, these things that are unique to BBD coin, the things that are specifically similar would be the idea of the staking, right? With the BBD coin, it works a little bit different. It works more like a traditional CD where you just receive it at maturity, right? Um, and The other part would be just that it is specifically directed to a great deal to hex stakers, right? That is something I think unique to Hedron and the BBD coin, right? That it's going to target the hex stakers and they're going to receive the cryptocurrency absolutely free, right? So you don't have to do anything to get it. If you fit the criteria, you're going to be fine and you're going to get them anyway. Um, So let's talk a little bit about trading, right? I think this is something else I think that's a little bit different from how Hedron trades, and we're going to get into that right now and talk about that. All right, so here on the BitcoinMYK.com site, let's talk about how you trade the BBD coin, right? And how is it a little bit different. So we know that Hedron trades in the Ethereum ecosystem, Uniswap, so on and so forth. Now, within the scope of the BBD coin is anti-Ethereum. It wouldn't touch Ethereum with a 10-foot pole. The fees are ridiculous. And so the tokens are basically minted on Polygon, right? And using Matic. Um, so what happens is, this is the very interesting part. The exchanges, first you have to understand BBD coin has multi-chain capabilities, right? So what happens is you're able to send your cryptocurrency from one chain where the cryptocurrency gets basically burnt, taken out of circulation, repopulated on another chain, right? So then you're not able to basically send back, you know what I mean, or double spend the same cryptocurrency, right? So it has this multi-chain function. What you do is when you receive your tokens on Polygon, they will come in your Ethereum wallet, your MetaMask wallet, your Ethereum. That's how we know who gets what, right? And can trade it. When it comes in there, what you'll be able to do is use our gateway, right? And how the gateway works is you're basically will be able to, once you receive the cryptocurrency free, you can send the cryptocurrency back to the origin wallets, right? Once you do that, using the form here, we'll just demonstrate here how it works. The gateway of the BBD coin, right? If you wanted to send it, you would basically send the BBD coin. I already checked there. Go to the Hive blockchain, and we're going to explain to you why you want to go to the Hive blockchain. The Hive blockchain is going to be, it's first of all, it's a free blockchain, right? So it's similar to Ethereum without the fees, right? You can actually do transactions on the network without using any cryptocurrency. It's done by bandwidth that and resource credits that are basically administered to the users just for being members of the community, and you're constantly replenish this these resource credits that allow you to do transactions free, right? So typically you're going to receive more resource credits to do transactions daily than you're probably going to use. That's generally how it works, right? So very, very easy system. Nothing like Ethereum. And because we could do the transactions free, that's why it's going to make so much more sense to do it on the Hive blockchain instead of doing it on Ethereum based chains or high fee chains when we can do the transactions free. Now, here's the other thing. Let's say you want to send it back to Polygon to maybe trade on Sushi Swap, which will be on Uniswap. But again, if you're doing this with Ethereum or you're doing it with high fee chains, I don't think it makes any sense to trade them over there. And the most active chain for it is Hive right now, right? So we're going to show you how to get over there, right? So when you send it to Hive, you're going to put in your sender wallet and your receiving wallet that over on Hive. We're going to take you over there and show you what's going to happen then. So once you do that, you end up at the Hive Engine Exchange, and which we have the order book here. Transactions can be done free. And so the project has, I think it started at about $1. It's now at around $4, so it's done something like a 4x since it started. It actually went all the way up to I think like $150. That was its maximum price. But because of the deflation, the tremendous amount of deflation, and that there are only going to exist 5 million tokens, making it much more deflationary than Bitcoin, we don't see any reason why we can't see this cryptocurrency do thousands of dollars per token, especially when you couple the idea that BBD coin has this very easy onboarding social token interface, which is going to garner thousands upon millions, if not billions upon billions of users in its ecosystem, right? And so with all that coupled into this, we think the project is going to do very, very well with the tokenomics it has and just the user friendliness of the onboarding of the users on the system. We think it's going to perform very, very well. But that's all I want to really say in this video. If you like content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe. If you have any questions about BBD coin, how it works, there is a white paper on the bitcoinnyk.com site. We will first ask you to review it, read it thoroughly, so you can get a good idea about how the project works. Then at that point, we'll be more happy to answer any questions you might have about it. But that's all I want to say in this video. Till next time, as always, take care of yourselves and each other.